drawn to the waters of Southeast Asia, where a silent conflict simmers just beneath the surface. Tension hangs over the turquoise waters of the West Philippine Sea, a region both breathtaking and fraught with danger. What appears calm from above hides a daily struggle for control and survival. Filipino fishing boats, small wooden bancas, bob in the waves, trying to make a living in their own nation's exclusive economic zone. For generations, these waters have provided food and livelihood for countless families, but they are dwarfed by massive white-hulled ships of the China Coast Guard, enforcing a claim the world has rejected. These vessels patrol relentlessly, their presence a constant reminder of a powerful neighbor's ambitions. This is a daily drama, David versus Goliath, played out on the open sea. The odds are stark, the imbalance of power impossible to ignore. For Filipino fishermen, this is not just politics, it's survival. Every catch, every trip is shadowed by uncertainty and fear. They tell of being blocked, chased, and intimidated by giant ships, horns blaring warnings in a language they don't understand. Sometimes the threats are shouted through loudspeakers echoing across the waves. These are not isolated incidents, but part of a calculated pattern, a slow squeeze to push the Philippines out of its own waters. Each encounter chips away at the fishermen's confidence and their ability to provide for their families. Courage alone cannot fill empty nets or stand up to steel hulls. The economic toll is mounting as more fishermen return home with less to show for their efforts. Confrontations are escalating. Water cannons blast supply vessels, lasers blind crews, and the threat of violence grows with each passing month. Ramming incidents risk lives, leaving boats battered and crews shaken. The sea, once a source of hope, now feels like a battleground. Each act is a calculated test of the Philippines' resolve, stopping just short of open war. The line between peace and conflict grows thinner every day. The Philippine government files protest after protest. The world voices concern. International headlines highlight the standoff, but solutions remain elusive. But on the water, words evaporate in the sea mist. The Chinese ships remain, unmoved by diplomatic appeals or global scrutiny. For the Philippines, this is no longer just about territory. It's about survival and the right to sail freely in their own backyard. The struggle is deeply personal for every fisherman who braves these contested waters. The nation's maritime heritage is at stake. Generations of seafarers have called these waters home, and their legacy now hangs in the balance. The question now, how can Manila defend its people and its waters? Leaders weigh their options, knowing that every decision carries enormous risk. The answer may require new, bolder solutions. Investments in modern ships, alliances, and technology are underway, but time is running short. The struggle is constant. The stakes are rising. Each confrontation brings the region closer to a tipping point. Every day, the West Philippine Sea becomes a little more dangerous. The risk of miscalculation or accident grows with every tense encounter. The world is watching, but for those on the water, the fight is personal. For them, it's about dignity, livelihood, and the future of their children. The Philippines must act or risk losing more than just territory. The outcome of this struggle will shape not only the fate of a nation, but the balance of power in the region for years to come. The West Philippine Sea is a battleground of gray zone tactics, coercion, and intimidation just below open conflict. China's Coast Guard and maritime militia swarm contested areas, overwhelming the Philippines without firing a shot. Filipino crews, outnumbered and outgunned, rely on grit and seamanship to complete their missions. Incidents escalate, lasers, water cannons, deliberate collisions, all filmed, all deliberate. Each act sends a message. We control these waters. The Philippines Navy is underfunded, its ships aging and outmatched. Diplomatic protests and legal victories, like the 2016 Hague ruling, are ignored by Beijing. The pressure is relentless, threatening the Philippines' sovereignty and economic security. Manila is learning that words alone are not enough. To protect its rights, it must build a credible deterrent on the water. The time for action is now. In the midst of growing regional tensions and maritime challenges, an unexpected opportunity has surfaced, one that could reshape naval dynamics in Southeast Asia. The United States is retiring its Freedom-Class Littoral Combat Ships, sleek, modern vessels that have sparked both excitement and controversy since their debut. Surprisingly, these ships are less than a decade old, yet they're being decommissioned due to persistent mechanical issues, high maintenance costs, and a shift in U.S. naval strategy toward larger, more survivable warships. On paper, The LCS seems perfect for littoral operations, fast, modular, and highly automated, designed to adapt quickly to different missions near shorelines. While the US found these ships lacking for high-end, large-scale warfare, the Philippines faces a very different set of maritime challenges. Manila isn't preparing for a massive naval battle. It needs to patrol vast waters, respond rapidly to incidents, and assert its presence in contested maritime zones. For these missions, speed, agility, and endurance are often more valuable than heavy firepower or advanced missile systems. The flaws that made the LCS problematic for the US Navy, like limited armament and mechanical quirks, may be less critical for the Philippines' specific needs. The real question is whether these ships can truly fill the gap in Manila's fleet, or if their well-documented problems will ultimately outweigh their potential promise. Despite the risks, Manila is giving the offer serious consideration, weighing the benefits against the possible pitfalls. It's a classic case of one nation's cast-off becoming another's opportunity, a chance to boost capability quickly, but not without uncertainty. The risks are real, the stakes are high, and for Manila, the decision is anything but simple. The Philippine Navy's courage is legendary, but courage alone can't close the capability gap. The fleet is a patchwork of aging ships and a few modern frigates, too few to cover a vast maritime domain. Persistent presence is deterrence, but the Philippines struggles to maintain it. Modern threats require ships with speed, endurance, and advanced sensors. The goal isn't to match China ship for ship, but to raise the cost of aggression. A squadron of fast, modern warships could change Beijing's calculus. Deterrence is about making conflict too risky to start. The right ships could tip the balance. Freedom-class ships could transform the Philippine Navy overnight. Their size and speed would boost presence and allow rapid response across the archipelago. Modern combat systems, radar, a 57mm gun, missile defenses would be a leap in capability. Even basic armament is a deterrent against aggressive maneuvers. Interoperability with the US and allies would improve, enabling joint patrols and real-time data sharing. The political message is powerful. The Philippines is modernizing and deepening its alliance with the US. American-built warships, crewed by Filipinos, would be a symbol of resolve. For a nation under pressure, these ships offer more than firepower. They offer credibility. The world would see a nation standing up for its rights. But every advantage comes with a cost. Manila must weigh the benefits against the risks. The Freedom-class ships come with baggage. Their propulsion systems are notoriously unreliable, and maintenance is expensive. For the Philippines, a small defense budget could be stretched to the breaking point. Critics warn these ships could spend more time in port than at sea. Operating costs, spare parts, and specialized training add up fast. Some argue the money would be better spent on simpler, more reliable patrol vessels. The LCS's modular design never fully delivered. The ships may arrive with only basic capabilities. There's also the risk of technological dependency on the US, a double-edged sword for Philippine autonomy. The debate is fierce. Are these ships a smart upgrade or a costly gamble? Manila must decide if the benefits outweigh the risks. The wrong choice could haunt the Navy for years. Manila faces a strategic crossroads. Acquiring Freedom-class ships would be the biggest upgrade in Philippine naval history, an instant boost in numbers and technology. It would shift the Navy from reactive to assertive and deepen the US alliance. The message to Beijing: the Philippines is not alone, but the risks are huge. Financial strain, possible unreliability, and lost opportunities elsewhere. If the ships fail, it could be a costly disaster. The decision is about more than ships. It's about the future of Philippine defense. Invest in a few high-end platforms or many simpler ones. Tie the Navy's fate to US technology or diversify. The stakes are generational, and the choice will define the nation's security for decades. Strip away the technicalities, and this is about sovereignty. At its core, this conflict is not just about territory or resources, but about the right of a nation to determine its own destiny and safeguard its people's future. The Philippines' ability to control its waters and protect its people is under daily threat. Every fisherman chased away, every reef occupied, every incursion by foreign vessels chips away at the nation's authority and dignity. Each loss, no matter how small, is an erosion of national rights and a blow to the collective spirit of the Filipino people. Acquiring Freedom-class ships is a bold attempt to draw a line in the water, an unmistakable declaration that the Philippines will defend what is rightfully theirs. It's a signal that Manila will not surrender its maritime future, and that the nation stands ready to protect its sovereignty at all costs. The sea is the nation's lifeblood. It sustains communities, feeds families, and connects the Philippines to the wider world. Losing it would be a blow to identity, a wound to the nation's soul that would be felt for generations. The consequences would ripple through the economy, threaten security, and undermine the nation's standing. The world is watching, aware that what happens here matters far beyond these shores. Other Southeast Asian nations face similar threats, their own sovereignty tested by powerful neighbors and shifting tides. Manila's choice could inspire others to stand firm or discourage resistance, shaping the future of the entire region. The struggle in the West Philippine Sea is a bellwether for the region, a test of resolve and unity among Southeast Asian nations. The fate of a free and open Indo-Pacific may hinge on what the Philippines does next. The decision is urgent, the consequences profound, and the eyes of the world are fixed on Manila. The time to choose is now. The nation stands at a crossroads, and history will remember what happens next. The Freedom-Class Littoral Combat Ship was born from a bold idea: create a fast, agile warship for the chaotic waters close to shore. The U.S. Navy wanted something its larger destroyers and cruisers couldn't do: dominate the littorals with speed and adaptability. The LCS was designed as a modular platform, a pickup truck of the seas, able to swap mission packages for different threats. This flexibility promised a cost-effective solution to a wide range of coastal challenges. But the journey was rocky. Cost overruns, technical glitches, and fierce debate about its survivability dogged the program from the start. Critics questioned if a lightly armored ship could survive modern threats, or if trying to do everything meant excelling at nothing. For the Philippines, with its vast coastline and maritime challenges, the LCS concept is compelling. A fast, adaptable ship seems perfect for patrolling archipelagic waters and responding to piracy or territorial disputes. Yet the controversy can't be ignored. Adopting the Freedom class would be a gamble, one that could revolutionize the Philippine Navy or burden it with a complex asset. The LCS story is a lesson in both innovation and caution. It's a ship that embodies both the promise and peril of military transformation. The stakes for any Navy considering it are high. Traditional warships are built in the open ocean, but the Freedom-Class LCS was designed for the littoral zone: shallow, crowded, and complex. Shallow draft lets it go where larger ships can't, bringing advanced capabilities right to the coastline. Built for speed and agility, the LCS can sprint at over 40 knots, redeploying rapidly or chasing down threats. This high-tempo style of warfare is perfect for archipelagic nations like the Philippines, with thousands of islands and narrow straits. The LCS's ability to operate close to shore would give the Philippine Navy unprecedented access and control over its waters. Controlling the littorals is vital. These are economic hubs, shipping lanes, and front lines of territorial disputes. The LCS was conceived to ensure freedom of navigation and push back against attempts to close off these critical areas. For the Philippines, this mission is central to national security. The ship's design is fundamentally different, prioritizing shallow water access and rapid response. It's a tool for modern maritime challenges, not just a scaled-down destroyer. The LCS redefines what a coastal warship can do. The LCS's most revolutionary feature is its modular design. Instead of a single-purpose ship, the LCS can be reconfigured with mission packages for anti-submarine, surface warfare, or mine countermeasures. The anti-submarine warfare module equips the ship with advanced sonar, helicopters, and drones to hunt submarines in shallow waters. The surface warfare package adds powerful missiles and guns, turning the LCS into a threat to enemy ships and fast attack craft. The Mine Countermeasures module uses unmanned vehicles to find and neutralize mines, keeping shipping lanes open without risking the crew. This modularity was meant to let the LCS adapt quickly to new missions. In theory, a ship could swap roles in port and redeploy within days. For navies facing diverse threats, this flexibility is a game changer. The LCS can be a sub-hunter, a surface combatant, or a minesweeper, whatever the mission demands. It's a single hull with many faces, designed for the unpredictable nature of modern coastal warfare. That's the promise of the LCS. The Freedom-Class LCS packs a balanced mix of firepower and technology. Its main weapon is a rapid-fire 57mm gun, effective against surface targets, aircraft, and even incoming missiles. The ship is armed with rolling airframe missiles for defense and increasingly the Naval Strike Missile for long-range offense. The addition of the NSM transforms the LCS into a serious threat to larger warships. A large flight deck supports helicopters and drones, extending the ship's reach for surveillance, anti-submarine, and surface warfare. The MH-60 Seahawk and MQ-8 Fire Scout drone provide eyes, ears, and firepower far beyond the ship itself. Propelled by powerful water jets, the LCS can exceed 40 knots. Speed is its tactical weapon. This agility allows it to reposition, intercept, or evade threats quickly. The combination of advanced weapons, aircraft, and speed makes the Freedom class a unique warship for dynamic combat environments. It's built for the fast-paced, unpredictable battles of the littorals. The Freedom-Class LCS is striking for its small size and even smaller crew. At just 387 feet and a core crew of about 50, it relies on automation to handle tasks that once required hundreds. The ship's bridge and combat center are integrated, letting a handful of sailors oversee navigation, weapons, and systems. Each crew member is cross-trained, expected to handle multiple roles. A flexible, high-skill team, mission package specialists join as needed, bringing expertise for specific deployments. This approach aims for efficiency and lower operating costs, but the small crew and heavy automation have brought challenges: fatigue, high workload, and difficulties with repairs at sea. The Navy has had to increase crew size to manage the operational tempo. The sea fighter jet concept is powerful, but running a warship 24/7 is demanding. The LCS's crew model is innovative, but not without real-world limits. The Freedom-Class LCS's story is riddled with controversy. Costs soared far beyond original estimates, turning a cheap warship into an expensive acquisition. Mechanical issues, especially with the complex combining gear, led to breakdowns and delays. The Navy even halted new deliveries until fixes were found. Survivability has been a major concern. The LCS is lightly armored, built to commercial standards, and critics fear it's too vulnerable in real combat. Efforts to up-armor and improve defenses continue, but doubts remain. The modular mission package concept also fell short. Swapping modules proved slow and complex, and some packages struggled to deliver. The Navy abandoned the idea of rapid role changes, assigning each LCS a primary mission for its service life. The core vision of flexibility was undermined by technical and operational realities. The LCS is a cautionary tale of innovation colliding with complexity. For the Philippine Navy, the Freedom-Class LCS is both a tempting and risky prospect. Its speed, agility, and shallow water capability seem tailor-made for the archipelago's maritime challenges. The LCS could outpace pirates, patrol disputed waters, and provide a credible deterrent with advanced missiles. Helicopters and drones would boost surveillance and response across thousands of islands. Acquiring the LCS could elevate the Philippine Navy's status, giving it real sea denial power. But the ship's high costs, maintenance demands, and reliability issues are serious concerns. Adopting the LCS would require major investments in training, logistics, and infrastructure. The Philippines is watching the U.S. experience closely, balancing the ship's promise against its pitfalls. The Freedom-Class LCS is a lesson in the risks and rewards of military innovation. It broke from tradition, prioritizing speed, modularity, and automation for modern coastal warfare. The ship's capabilities are attractive for nations like the Philippines, offering a leap in maritime power. But the LCS's troubled development shows that new technology brings steep costs and challenges. Even the U.S. Navy struggled to make the concept work. For smaller navies, a misstep could mean expensive, unreliable ships that drain resources. The LCS reminds us that the newest tech isn't always the best solution. Choosing a ship like this is about strategic vision and accepting both risk and reward. The future belongs to navies that can adapt and integrate new technologies wisely. The LCS, for all its flaws, has forced a rethink of how to fight in the littorals and what it takes to build the Navy of tomorrow. Tonight, we look at a story of ambition, technology, and difficult choices. The United States Navy is retiring the Freedom-Class Littoral Combat Ships, vessels that were supposed to be the future of naval warfare. Designed for speed and adaptability, these ships were meant to operate close to shorelines, using modular mission packages to switch roles quickly. But the vision never fully materialized. Persistent mechanical failures, survivability concerns, and ballooning costs plagued the program from the start. The Navy's decision to decommission up to 9 of these relatively new ships has sparked tough questions about military spending and accountability. Billions were spent, but the ships are being sidelined after only a few years of service. The Freedom-Class LCS was a bold idea, plug-and-play warships for a new era. Yet the reality fell short, and the Navy is now forced to admit the program did not deliver. For sailors and engineers, it's a tough chapter. For lawmakers and the public, it's a moment to demand answers. What went wrong, and what does this mean for the future of the U.S. Navy? We'll break down the failures, the fallout, and what comes next. The Freedom Class story is a cautionary tale. Even the most advanced militaries can get it wrong. As the Navy pivots away from these ships, the lessons learned will shape future decisions. Let's dive into why the Freedom Class LCS is being retired so soon. At the heart of the Freedom-Class ship's troubles is a critical flaw: the propulsion system's combining gear. This gear, meant to deliver high speeds, repeatedly failed, leaving ships stranded or stuck in port for costly repairs. The clutch bearings couldn't handle the stress of switching between power sources, and fixes proved elusive. Years and millions were spent chasing a solution, but the flaw was baked into the ship's design. Imagine a sports car that can't accelerate without breaking down. No matter how many times you fix it, the problem returns. The Navy faced a tough choice: pour more money into redesigning every ship, or cut their losses. The cost to fix each vessel was astronomical, and multiplied across the fleet, it became unsustainable. The Freedom Class was sold on speed and agility, but its most fundamental system was unreliable. The Navy ultimately decided the engineering challenge and price tag were too great. Persistent propulsion failures became the first major crack in the LCS program's foundation. The ship's promise of rapid response and flexibility was undermined by their inability to reliably get underway. This wasn't just a technical hiccup, it was a fatal flaw. The propulsion issue set the stage for the Navy's decision to move on. When a warship can't be trusted to move, it can't be trusted to fight. The Freedom Class never overcame this basic hurdle. Beyond mechanical issues, survivability became a major concern. The Freedom-Class ships were built for speed, not toughness, using aluminum superstructures that are vulnerable to fire. In an era of advanced anti-ship missiles, critics argued these ships were too fragile for contested waters. A single missile could cripple or destroy them, and their light armor made them soft targets. The analogy: a lightweight boxer in a heavyweight fight, fast but unable to take a hit. The Navy realized these ships wouldn't last in a conflict with a major power. Their limited armor and defensive systems were critical vulnerabilities. Offensive firepower was also lacking. The base model had only a 57mm cannon and short-range missiles. Without long-range weapons, they had to get dangerously close to threats. This combination, lightly armed and lightly armored, was a worst-case scenario for naval planners. The Freedom Class simply couldn't survive or deliver decisive blows in high-end combat. Survivability concerns sealed their fate. The Navy needed ships that could both take and deliver a punch. Cost overruns were another nail in the coffin for the Freedom Class program. Originally pitched as affordable, each ship ended up costing over $600 million, triple the initial estimate. Operating and maintaining them was even more expensive, rivaling the cost of much larger, more capable destroyers. Frequent breakdowns and specialized maintenance drove up expenses. The Navy found itself paying premium prices for unreliable, underpowered ships. The modular mission package concept, meant to save money, actually increased complexity and costs. Each module required its own crew, training, and logistics, multiplying expenses. Instead of one versatile ship, the Navy got 3 subclasses, each with unique needs. The promised savings never materialized. Instead, the program became a financial burden. The Navy's maintenance budget was stretched thin, impacting other priorities. The Freedom Class LCS was simply unsustainable. The cost-to-capability ratio made continued investment impossible to justify. The Navy had to cut its losses. Faced with mounting evidence, the Navy made a tough, politically sensitive call. The Freedom-Class ships weren't living up to their promise, mechanically unreliable, too vulnerable, and too expensive. Leadership decided to redirect resources to more capable platforms. Unmanned systems, destroyers, and submarines. Admitting failure wasn't easy, but the strategic landscape had changed. Every ship now needs to be lethal and survivable. By retiring these ships early, the Navy could save billions and reinvest in higher priority needs. This was a strategic pivot, prioritizing future combat readiness over a troubled legacy. The move also signaled accountability. The Navy is willing to make hard choices and move on. The Freedom-Class retirement marks a turning point for the fleet. Decommissioning doesn't always mean the end for a warship. The Navy could mothball the Freedom-Class ships, but ongoing maintenance costs make that unlikely. Scrapping is an option, but dismantling nearly new ships is a financial loss. More likely, the Navy will look to sell or transfer them to allied nations through the Foreign Military Sales Program. This allows the U.S. to recoup some investment and strengthen partners' naval capabilities. The process is complex, requiring congressional and State Department approval and removal of sensitive tech. Potential buyers are warned about the ship's known issues, including propulsion problems and high operating costs. Still, for navies with limited budgets, a discounted Freedom-Class ship could be attractive. The U.S. can offload an unwanted asset and help an ally patrol its waters. The story of these ships may take an international turn. Their next chapter could unfold under a different flag. The Navy's loss could become another nation's opportunity. Let's look at who might be interested. The Philippines has shown interest in acquiring these ships. With one of the world's longest coastlines, the Philippine Navy needs modern vessels for patrol and maritime security. For the U.S., a ship that can't face China in a major war is a liability. For the Philippines, it's a potential upgrade. The LCS's speed and versatility are ideal for presence patrols, intercepting suspicious vessels, and responding to piracy. Cost is a concern, but a steep discount or U.S. support could make the deal feasible. Strategically, Washington wants to help Manila strengthen its maritime capabilities. A stronger Philippine Navy supports regional stability and U.S. interests in the Indo-Pacific. The Philippines must weigh the ship's mechanical issues and sustainment costs against their operational benefits. It's a significant commitment, but the chance to acquire a modern warship may be too good to pass up. The final decision will depend on price and terms. The Freedom-Class could soon sail under a new flag. The Freedom-Class story proves that a warship's value depends on the mission. For the U.S. Navy, these ships were the wrong tool for a high-end fight. Too fragile, unreliable, and costly. Retiring them was a pragmatic move, freeing resources for more capable platforms. But for other navies, focused on patrol and maritime security, the LCS could be a real asset. The flaws are serious, but manageable for nations not facing peer adversaries. Early retirement isn't just a tale of failure. It's about shifting priorities and international partnerships. Transferring these ships could turn a U.S. problem into a strategic gain for both countries. The U.S. strengthens an ally. The Philippines gains a modern patrol vessel. One nation's discarded equipment becomes another's prized possession. The fate of these ships will be decided in Washington and Manila. The Freedom-Class LCS was designed for a vision that didn't materialize for the U.S.